Okay, this is episode 3 for whatever I'm gonna call this thing. When still in Pisa, I try to go out, record these outside. I feel like it's a good exercise to kind of have a different venue to make people, see what I'm doing around, where I'm traveling, what it looks like, where I'm at, and also kind of train myself to not be so anxious about talking in public and just talking in general. Today, I want to talk about a concept that I'm familiar with personally, and that is the state of how I have experienced a big topic right now, which is AI. People talk about how it's replacing jobs and stuff, and now it's actually gone like kind of full circle, where a lot of businesses have realized that AI is not efficient, that as efficient as they thought it would be. It's not kind of the promise that it was made to the business owners. Also, not how it turns out when it comes to the value of people. And I kind of know this firsthand because for a long time, my whole business was starting off as a automation business. I was helping businesses automate their stuff. And a big part of that at the beginning was AI stuff because as I was starting with automations, which is actually like pretty straightforward, like connection automations, not specifically AI, but AI just got really naturally ingested into it. And that was my beginning. So what happened was, as I kind of started building out systems for businesses, really naturally, people started asking me for AI stuff, and I started researching AI stuff and started building AI stuff for the different businesses. One very particular marketing agency that I'm still working with right now. It's a really great relationship with them. With them, we just went crazy. We built so many systems, so many stuff. We tried to automate so many different kind of aspects of their everyday life. But what really, really quickly came to fruition was the realization that the people didn't really want to use these things. It was there was some certain parts of the jobs of the people that just couldn't be quite automated, or they needed that specific input for them to actually have a result they like. So what ended up happening to that business specifically, all the systems we made, for the most part, came out, useless. What actually ended up being useful was just training the people to use AI, actually training the professionals, training the specialists, the people making the content, the people posting stuff, the people managing, different campaigns and stuff, teaching them how to use basic cloud teams. That's what ended up being the most useful for that company. And even then, um, there's what I've found is, from my experience, that what happened was that we were really focusing on automating and forcing AI into the mundane tasks. But what I've found recently is that those were never the essential tasks for the business. What really we tried to outsource, and I think the most effective outsource strategies actually implemented this to a T, where we were successful in outsourcing to AI like simple stuff like analyzing patterns for specific accounts. So we outsourced kind of reporting, still had a human in a loop, but just made the human's job of looking past the 1 month results and kind of making some patterns and just pushing a report to the client. That was efficient because a marketing agency with 120 plus clients, if you automate the process of just making those reports for a manager, all of a sudden 6 managers have a way faster time managing and kind of pushing out the start of month reports for the previous month. So much time saved only because they don't have to like do the manual work of actually looking at some, comparing a few months of data and coming to some conclusions. AI kind of really was really efficient to that. But when it came to actually spinning up new campaigns, it was kind of lacking in a lot of sense. We could create systems that create automatic campaigns, create automatic A/B tests, run out off of the results, but it was very not efficient, which is interesting, right? Because the whole concept of that was, hey, it's going to be a super agent, right? It's going to be a super employee that's going to be working 24/7, which is going to make allow businesses to just crank out content or something, or allow businesses to just scale their ads like crazy. But yeah, the reality of it is it just wasn't really efficient at doing those things. A human with a tons of experience had way more capacity for novel ideas. A human had a way more easier time coming up with creative strategies rather than just implementing a really basic, like data driven guess. And I've seen that in my work too. What ended up happening, I think, as I kind of progressed in my offer in my business right now, at this point, I'm just offering websites straightforward. I'm trying to kind of lean in this offer and make it an offer that's more, even more dialed in than I have currently. But yeah, I just ended up working with the same agency and producing white label websites because that ended up being a way more efficient use because I knew how to use AI to create stuff, to, prompt good websites into fruition. I had the technical background, the technical know-how to actually launch these websites, to make them work and maintain upkeep and figure out the technical jargon behind it. So I had a way better success creating business that either teaches other businesses how to use AI, other people how to use AI, or delivers a service using AI. And that was a kind of one of the big takeaways from my last year of running a business. This transition into realizing that building AI systems isn't really a thing. I don't believe it is. I really don't, because what happens is that if you go to a business and try to implement a AI system into a business that hasn't used an AI system before, it's gonna flop on its head. I think startups that are creating really novel apps and maybe really novel like AI first apps, they are really cool. Then a business can kind of look at them up and use them as a SaaS. That makes kind of sense to me. But going into a business and creating a internal AI system is, from my experience, a big no-go. Simply because there's all these really good startups and SaaS that are already solving these really hard issues to solve. And if you go into a business without the actual understanding of the business, without actually understanding of the industry, you're just gonna make slop. You're just gonna make complete AI slop. And way better success if you just teach the people that actually know their stuff, that actually know the industry, that actually know the thing they're doing, how to use AI to just upscale their workload. And the alternative is, like I'm doing right now with the websites, which is actually just using this technology to deliver a specific service, with the added benefit of me being able to service more and more clients because I'm using AI, over the traditional way of building no code websites or coding them myself. So there's some benefits attached to that. And I think a lot of cases, this is going to be way better moat for a single kind of person business. And, figuring out a niche that you understand, figuring out a service that you understand and would have been able to deliver before without AI, and then just using AI to scale it up to a level where it's, easier for you to maintain and maybe live a lifestyle while you can relax and chill a bit and kind of do your own thing. Because yeah, like that's the first kind of takeaway with this AI, that it's really, for me, really hard to see how it's going to be replaced, even with working with AI every day. You make those same websites. If you don't really give those human novel insights, if you don't give those natural ideas, you come up with slop. Making websites, if I really just use that system I proposed, system, if I didn't use my kind of creative spin on it, all my websites will look the same, AI sloppish, right? And I've kind of noticed this, that as I'm kind of getting more and more clients, I get more and more, I kind of recognize my own patterns in my own website. And in order to break these patterns, in order to actually stand out and to make a website that's not obviously just AI generated BS, you have to lock in. You have to actually pay attention. You have to come up with interesting kind of animation gimmicks. You have to come up with kind of interesting ideas on how to present stuff. And without you actually, describing this idea really specifically, really detailed, it's not going to do anything novel. It's going to just make the same old, same old. So, from my experience, it's just so hard to envision a reality where this becomes the kind of thing that replaces humans. I kind of see, I listened to another creator called Danko. way back in his take, something that really, looking back, came to fruition, as I see AI being the same as Chinese cookies are for baking and cookies, right? They're the cheapest possible standardized version of a cookie. It doesn't mean it's the only cookie that's ever going to be requested. More and more people are able to make really good businesses selling the same thing, cookies, just with a different spin, a creative spin, something that AI just cannot fucking come up with right now. It's built to reduce to the medium. It's built to reduce to the, standard. It's now really built for new insights and new ideas and new crazy shit. That's what kind of keeps me, confident in this idea, just from my experience with working with it, plus the experience I see in the industry. Another thing I want to talk about on this topic is the idea that what I've noticed in my own business, I've been using AI to kind of brainstorm and plan my business for a long, long time now. And I've become really frustrated with it because I've realized how unreliable it is on that sense, on when it comes to actually like, making decisions. Um, this is something that I've been really conscious about lately, making sure that I actually make decisions myself and I don't rely on AI to kind of lift my knowledge up. It's not going to work. It's not effective, because what happens is that it's not implying the principles of essentialism that I want to kind of do with my life and with my business. It isn't really good at figuring out the most best leverage for a business. What happens with AI, that you tend to be, automation and AI in general, I tend to really be lean towards automating and outsourcing all the busy work, making invoices, making presentations, making video, making content, making I don't know, content. Yeah, that's a big one. But creating those on websites, you kind of want to automate the busy work. But what happens is that you end up really, really focusing on automating bullshit. Essentially, you become really, really focused on automating really, really inessential stuff. It would be way, way more essential for me to not automate anything and have a clarity on the one essential thing that I have to do, like pushing out as much content as I can, or DMing as much people as I can, or whatever comes up. In my case right now, it's actually making as much content as possible. That's what I kind of realized. That's my one essential lever for me to take on to the next step of the business that I want to make, the kind of business I want to take. I have a good base floor of income when it comes to my existing clients and work. As long as I have that, I have the greatest opportunity to right now just reinvest all of my spare time into making as much content as I can. I realized that I have much, much more to gain from putting all of my efforts into just making content and not fucking worrying about automating everything of it. It's, I think, way more efficient for me to sit down for an hour each day and just talk to the mic and learn the art of, communicating my thoughts, than it is to build, spend 5 hours automating a system, which I've done before, creating a system where I can record one video and it's automatically repurposing content and generating content for the next few weeks, and then, repurposing and making shorts and all that stuff. I've done that, all of those stuff before. And what I've learned, it's still the essential part, that is recording the content, is the hardest one. It's the biggest leverage part. And when I was building those systems, I spent like years building out these repurposing systems, when all I had to do, it wasn't years, it was like days, but what I really had to do was just sit down and fucking record videos as much as possible. If I would have spent all that time just recording videos rather than creating these systems that's going to repurpose them, I would have had like tens and tens and tens of more contents right now out there. Um, that's like a big example of this stuff where you kind of trick your brain into thinking that if you're not using AI to automate the busy work, you're wasting time or you're not doing the thing. What really happens is that because with AI you can now do so much of things you couldn't do before, you feel like you have an obligation to do them all yourself. Another thing that a buddy of mine I was talking with, he, I explained to him my current business model, which is making websites using AI, and he was like, "Oh, be careful with, you know, implementing AI, because then other people with AI will come and just take your business and undersell you." And to that, I had a really, really obvious thing that I knew that I, from experience, from actually selling this offer, know that he doesn't, which is the fact that the people who are buying websites don't fucking care that it's made by AI. They just want a good website. If it's made by AI, good, dope. That means they can get a better website, hopefully. But they want a website and they want to be sure it's a good website. What they're actually buying is the confidence that you're going to deliver a good website. And if you use AI, they don't care. If you build it yourself, they don't care. What matters to them is that you can sell them the confidence that it's going to be a dope website. And oftentimes, if you ask for more money, the likelihood, the perceived value of the perceived likelihood that you're going to be successful in delivering this website goes up. So it's kind of a fool's errand to assume that you're going to be underbid, because before there were also already people going around, from cheaper countries, from India, selling all kinds of software solutions, and people still chose to pay the extra buck for the agencies, to pay that extra buck for the high ticket, creators, designers, and there's a reason for that. And AI didn't take it away. AI maybe pushed the floor up to the lowest possible. Like they pushed the floor up when it comes to now. Right now, the worst possible product you're going to receive is a step up than it was before, right? Because right now, if you can order a website from some random dude on Fiverr, you're at least gonna get a wipe coded website. You're at least gonna get a simple wipe coded website that has like a level of quality, but it's still gonna be obviously wipe coded. And if you same website from an agency, or me, a person who actually looks at the website and gives us some novel ideas, actually goes through the text, makes sure it's not AI slop and there's no like hallucinations, actually goes through the animations, goes through the images and generates, quality images, goes through all the things, invests that time. That time is still there. And that's going to, outbid the guys who are just clocking in. There's also a big thing of taste, right? That's the thing that also separates a Chinese cookie from a good, quality €5 cookie from your local cookie shop, and that's the fact that it's a matter of taste. The person that actually makes the thing has a specific experience set, has a specific career kind of biography that lets him know what is good and what is not, right? From experience, from their professional endeavors before. And in my case, I have big advantage that I have a lot of experience in business in general. Before I was doing this, I had a lot of years of trying to do startups and building out stuff, and actually being a marketing manager for a while, being in sales. So now when I talk in these businesses, I have all this experience to rely on. And when I'm just making a website, it's not just design. For me, it's more of business centric. I actually know how business owners think, and I know what they want, and I can kind of propose them or offer them that business more value that way, because I can actually offer them a website that serves their business rather than just looks nice. And that's my advantage. And yeah, a lot of people are also concerned that all the business owners are just going to do stuff themselves with AI. That's also complete BS. Another thing that I've learned, the same buddy that told me a thing about AI replacing us or something, also did a good and the same conversation. Also explained to me a really good concept of thinking and doing. He explained to me that it's really hard to be a thinker and a doer at the same time in a business. That's something that everyone that runs a solo business like I, or a freelancing business like I am, knows very well, that it's really hard to both be the professional that's doing the things, both having to execute and deliver the job, but also needing to spend the time to plan out your business, to actually make strategies, to make sure that you have ideas. So there's the ideas man, and there's the execution guys, and being both is really hard. And that's the big thing about business owners. Once you have a certain kind of scale, you always see this when business owners just remove themselves from actually doing and spend all their time just solving the problems nobody else can, and spends all their time just thinking about the future and kind of steering the ship, coming up with ideas and kind of figuring out where to go next. And that's the next thing that first of all, AI just really is bad at doing, like I mentioned before. And that what happens in practice is that these business owners, they just don't have the fucking time to make those websites. Yes, they can kind of make them themselves, but they would much rather hire somebody to make it for them so they don't have to think about it than spend their really valuable resource, which is their mind and brain power and idea power, to fucking generate their website. It's kind of I've found that most entrepreneurs are really easily distracted by this. This is the point I mentioned before, where that's one of those non-essential things that business owners tend to get distracted by, and then they spend like a bunch of hours, bunch of months, bunch of days just playing around with AI, upgrading their website, building out their website, bringing it out, building out an internal system, and figuring this out, figuring that out. And what happens is that they just do a lot of unessential stuff. A lot of more value would have probably gone up in their business if they would have spent all that time just figuring out the next idea and delegating this whole circus of using AI to upgrade their business. They could delegate this to their source. They could hire somebody to do this. It's really distracting to think that, yeah, we kind of think that it's important, so we kind of invest our time that it's not important. It's really hard to actually derive what's essential. The AI can't really do it right now. And what people get distracted by is this convenience of being able to do everything that they weren't able to do before. An advantage, though, to this is that now that AI is available and you have all this knowledge at your fingertips and have this ability, you as an owner are now way more available to actually judge quality of stuff. Like I said, the base value of stuff has just gone up. You now have the opportunity and should be doing a thing which is, upgrading your values, upgrading your not values, but minimal, upgrading the minimum viable standard. That's what I'm looking for. You can upgrading your minimal viable standards for what you accept. That's the real thing. Just as before, when machines replaced like basic looms, when people who took a career out of making clothes now are really upset that machines are going to take over, another thing came up, which is the operators. Oh, thank you. Another thing came up, which is operators, people who actually manage these machines. And that's another career. And these people were just able to push out way more. The standard of what's available to produce just went way up, and that's just what's going to happen. It's not that the humans are going to replace, at least right now, not unless like Stan Altman wins and actually produces his AGI thing. But right now, just yeah, the standard value of what's acceptable has just gone way up. You just have to realize that the standard speed of delivery has gone up and the quality of delivery has gone up, and all that has gone up, but humans just need to upskill. That's essentially the thing, at least for now. It was like a case like that, same, a few months back. Then for a moment I was convinced that we're all fucked, but then now I'm all the way back to just realizing that all these cool models come up. They just come up with new and more things that people are capable of. The models are now able to do this and that and that the weren't able to do before. But what I see when I'm actually using these expensive models, that they're not that, like, there's no real use case for them, right? What actually pushed the boundaries is already been pushed. Like the things that you can actually do with AI, you have been able to do for a while now, and all these new models that can do them slightly better, they don't really produce anything worth value. That the incremental improvement just isn't that big for the person, for the everyday person. They might be for like solving fucking math problems, or like I don't know what the fucking benchmarks are, but when it comes to actually producing value for other businesses, like there's a cap. The cap is hit. Like there's the same problems that were in the previous models are still there. The creativity problem, right? Like really well trained models, or models with their correct skills and everything, could basically produce the same quality of content that the newer models can right now. Only they're fucking way more expensive. And so yeah, the models get better, but in my experience, they just aren't as proportionally more useful, because essentially the same thing happens where they get better at doing all kind of BS that aren't essential. They just got better at, pushing out more shit notes. They just became better at, recognizing your intentions a bit, right? But if you had like the skills in place before, it's essentially the same thing. So yeah, that's my take on it. That's about it. Okay, bye bye. Subscribe, like, whatever.